Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Krisna Deni M.Hamzah and my student number is 012. So today I want to present my journal article review, and the title of the journal is Elementary Students' Use of Dialect and Reading Achievements, Examining Students with Disabilities. So the type of my journal is Linguistics, and not for long, let's go to my review presentation. So this article has been written by Brandy Gatlin and John Wanzek, and then the name of this journal is Exceptional Children, and then this article published in July 2017, and then the number of pages in this journal is 97 to 115, and then the volume of this journal is 84/1, and this article has been published by Sage Journals to 2017. And after I reading this journal, I have two keywords to this review. The first one is dialect, and the second one in reading is reading achievement. Okay, so let's move into the hypothesis. So, in the most recent National Assessment of Educational Progress Reading Test, 82% of African American and 70% of Hispanic fourth grade students failed to meet proficient levels. Moreover, students from these racial ethnic minority groups have traditionally been overrepresented in high incidence disability categories education. So, in the introduction, this study was written by Gatlin and Wanzek with the purpose to examine potential relationships between oral and written dialect use and reading achievement. Why this purpose is important? Because many students from racial minority groups speak a dialect of English is different from mainstream American English or MAE, which is found in most textbooks and is generally used in schools. So, according to the National Research Council's Committee on the Prevention of Reading Difficulties of in Young Children, speaking dialect of English or non-mainstream American English may be one risk factor for reading difficulties. So let's move to the method, discussion, and results. For the method, the writers used three methods to support this journal make more clearly. The first one is the participants. For the participants, the sample was pulled from students in a mid-sized southeastern city who were participating in a larger National Institute of Child Health and Human Development funded longitudinal Gatlin and Wanzek study on the prevention and identification of learning disabilities. So the writers selected 250 of 528 students who completed at least one writing assessment. The three language samples of each randomly selected students were coded for the occurrence of non-mainstream American English features. Specifically, we generated random, non-repeating. So specifically, the writer generated random, non-repeating numbers using Microsoft Excel's random number generator. So also the writer assigned each student a number between 1 and 528 and selected students number 1 through 250 for this study. so the second method is measures. For the measures, upon approval from the universities and school district institutional review boards, the writers assessed children during the spring of their second or third grade school year initially on reading and language or oral and written skills, and subsequently tested them on the same measures for the next 2 years. The writers used reading achievement scores from both the first year and the third year in the analysis. Frequency of dialect use from the language samples from the first year were used for the concurrent and longitudinal analysis. To ensure accurate administration and scoring of each test protocol, each tester was required to pass fidelity check with a senior research assistant and demonstrate 100% accuracy in administration and scoring prior to each round of testing. A second research assistant also double scored each assessment. And the last method is data analysis. For the data analysis, the writers is so difficult to establish reliability on phonological features, so they conducted analysis using morphosyntactic DDMs only, and also they also based this decision on previous research that focused on morphosyntactic dialect features only for this age group, and citing developmental reasons and the potential confounding of more general spelling errors in writing. Furthermore, as discussed later, several students had phonological dialect features coded in one or both of their written language samples, but apparently didn't use any dialect features in their oral language sample. So to address the question, the writers conducted analysis using HLM 7.0 software with standard scores from the reading measures, concurrent and subsequent in separate analysis. As dependent variables, using two-level models to account for reading measures scores for students is for level 1 and nested with classrooms with level 2. So let's move to the main discussion. So the main discussion in this study is to analyze dialect use among a sample of middle elementary students and to examine potential relationship between dialect use scores and reading achievement measures. So for the results, a detailed investigation into the data revealed that 82% of students product at least one feature of dialect during their oral narrative, and 76% of the students produce at least one feature in one or both written language. There are also preliminary analysis that reveal 97% of African American English students use dialect in at least one language sample, and 94% of students who qualified for or produce at least one instance of dialect in their sample. So in the conclusion, this study extends the current research based on dialect and reading in several important ways. So there are three ways to conclude this whole argument. The first, most studies investigating relations between dialect use and reading have involved children's spoken use of dialect. In this study, we found evidence that dialect use in an oral and a written narrative was predictive of reading performance. In addition, the longitudinal portion of the study adds to the existing literature on dialect and reading investigation, which have largely consisted cross-sectional design studies. And finally, the study found that for students with speech, language, or learning disabilities, the impact of dialect use may be greater on measures of word identification than for the students with no diagnosed disabilities. Although the study showed the students that use dialect differently in various contexts and that there is a significant and negative relationship between the two vectors, other variables apparently need to be simultaneously analyzed to help explain some of the variability present. So the overall statement is this study focuses on two vectors using of dialect and reading achievement. Not only that, this study also correlational. Therefore, the results do not imply causal relationships between dialect and outcomes measures of reading achievement. Okay, let's go to the strengths and impact of the article. So this article also has strengths and impacts for the readers. So for the strengths, this article is very recommended to read for the undergraduate students who take linguistic course, and then the content of this article was clear enough to understand and to read for the native readers, and then the methods that was used in this article can support the previous arguments. So the impact of this article is some of the data analysis will not be true and can make hoax for the readers who read it. So it should be at another future research to make this article clearly valid and avoid hoax or plagiarism. Okay, thank you for watching my presentation and my video. I hope you can understand what I explained it to you. So I'm sorry, and then I'm sorry when I have some mistakes on pronunciation, mistakes on the grammarly text, and so on and so on. And thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi